Yeah, but that's
Hey,
true as well.
everyone.
Hi.
Welcome to the patch.
Welcome to the patch.
Where apparently Ryan
Wow.
is shitty, according to Bernie.
This
is that
week,
the case, Bernie?
This week brought to you
Wow,
by
man.
Crunchyroll and MeUndies.
Welcome to.
Yeah.
Tweet about my YouTube video on my verified Twitter account.
And a very
Oh,
Bernie
wow.
Burns.
Wow.
Are you verified?
A lot of burns.
No.
It's
You're
Twitter.
verified.
I'm verified.
I'm not verified.
Yeah.
That's fine.
You're about to pass me in followers if you haven't yet.
What are you at?
I think I'm like at 370 or something.
Yo, what's
You're
that?
so close, girl. I'm
Really? Is
getting
this the
so-
discussion we're
Welcome to
opening
the
the
patch
patch
where
with?
we talk about the
Wait,
important
let me just do
things.
this.
Hang on, is my
How many-
social dick bigger than yours?
How many you got on Facebook?
Oh.
Oh, well,
Like 2.
I got 1.3
You're
million.
definitely
That's
beating
a
me.
big
there.
A
number.
million.
but it's
Welcome to the
YouTube that
patch.
loved you enough for the hoodie.
That's
Million
true.
What?
Dudes jerking it to me on Facebook.
Okay, well, hey, you know.
I've got 2.
You should.
You got two
Gus-
dudes jerking
Gus,
it
you got more than
right
two.
now.
Yeah. Okay, the patch.
Welcome to the patch.
Video game.
The video
Hey.
game thing. Wow, this honestly, this is just an indication, I think, of like how frazzled we all are in the run up to E3.
It's really just that it's the moment we're like best friends, and then somebody throws something that's like a free Snap. It's like I got the free Snap
I
because
want
I'm
the
more
free Snapple.
popular.
I hate you.
It's how we're
Everybody got
immediately
YouTube
we're
gaming
like
hoodies, but me.
we're basically like the Twilight Zone where everyone thinks everyone else is an alien, but we're like
But
We're the only human.
We know everybody else
It's
is an
like
alien.
Town of Salem, but everybody's the killer.
everybody's mafia. Yes.
Is
Absolutely.
it Mafia? It is.
Is
Yeah.
that like
Okay.
the werewolf game?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I've
It's
played that.
real fun.
Gotcha.
It's like an online version of it. So basically for about 6 months, if I was like supposed to be working, I always had a tab open like,
Oh, is that game out already?
oh, Town of Salem's been
Town
out
of Salem?
online for years.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought.
They have
you
a card
waiting
game
for it?
Kickstarter they just did. That's probably what
I thought they were making. I thought Ubisoft was making another version, or are they making a version of Werewolf? I think.
Oh, maybe.
That's a video game.
This is like a
Yeah, it came out
free
in
browser game.
2014.
Yeah.
He did it. I didn't think he'd do it, but he did it.
What did he
He
did?
filled that thing to the
And he
brim.
didn't.
It
and
was
he
like-
didn't spill it.
surface tension was keeping my tea.
I thought he
in
was
the
going to be
cup.
wearing it.
My surface was about to drink it.
Spilling. Speaking of tea, there's been a lot of spilling of tea with all the leaks this week in
That's-
video
Oh,
games.
so many
yeah, that
That's
sort of
how I got
works.
the hoodie, Ryan, because I'm good at segues.
Because she's keeping us on track. Because
That's
otherwise
right.
we'll just talk about tea for an hour.
Yeah.
There have been a lot of leaks. I mean,
It's been leaky.
we always get leaks this time of year.
Yeah.
It's what happens before E3. It's what people do. It's how everything works. I feel like this year's particularly bad.
Well,
Last year,
I want to clarify something I said earlier, real fast, before we get down that rabbit hole.
Okay.
Ubisoft is developing a VR version of Werewolves called Werewolves Within.
Oh,
cute.
yeah, I've seen that. That looks really
Oh.
cool.
So that's what I thought.
But
I
do you
wondered
have to
what-
sit
okay.
in a? Is it like you play with all your friends while you all wear the same?
I think it's like you play with people
Yeah.
online.
Oh, cool.
Like, and you
Okay,
sit
cool.
in a virtual environment.
Oh, cool.
The way it works too, like, so you'd still have private conversations with people, or I guess you can have private conversations. You like lean towards them, and it makes like a private world where just the two of you can
Oh my
whisper
god!
together.
It's literally like this morning we were saying we needed a cone of
yeah,
silence.
exactly.
Oh man, we don't have to go behind the bathrooms anymore, Ryan.
VR helmets, and
VR
then
helmets.
everyone
Wait.
in the room with you can still hear you.
wait, I'm sorry. You guys go behind the bathrooms for your private
I mean,
conversations?
that's a good place for a code of
Isn't
silence,
that where
right?
people go to like go to smoke in high school or something?
Yeah,
It's like
pretty
out
much
behind the
behind the
bathroom.
gym.
Also here, actually.
Yeah,
That's
that is
true.
also
That
where
is
people
true.
smoke here.
Okay, sorry.
Yes,
I
but
didn't
video
realize.
games.
Leaks. They're everywhere.
This is the first time.
The boat's going down.
Well, last year I think Bethesda in particular did really, really well. It makes sense because it was their first time doing their own press conference. But like we all suspected that Fallout 4 was going to get announced. But what actually came out of the conference was like, yay, it was confirmed. But it wasn't because of a leak. It was just because we all wanted Fallout 4 to be announced. They kept it all under wraps. I mean, my God, was a Fallout Shelter?
Yeah.
That was huge. They managed
Yeah.
to get it into the store.
Yeah,
And it was unspoiled. This year, their whole lineup for the press conference got spoiled.
I'm very curious to see like all the different points of failures that leaks come from. Because it's always interesting. It's always like a different one. Like the weirdest one to me was the supposed Dead Rising 4 leak. Again, who knows if it's real or not. Some game store employee was like, "Oh, look, I put together this poster at work today," and then like took a picture of it and then uploaded it to Reddit. So it's like you don't know. It's kind of a shitty picture. It could be Photoshop. Could be something fake. But it's like, how would it get that far along? And then like that's where your leak happens.
My
that's the
favorite-
problem. I'd be like, really? We made it so far.
Yeah.
And you fucked it up.
My favorite is Shinobi 062. We do like 10 Shinobi stories a week now because he's like, but he turns out he's like an HR guy somewhere. He just has all the haps.
Do you think he just like he analyzes the trends and he
I
like
know-
spots
I
the
know
data?
that.
Oh, Gavin bringing it back.
Been a while.
He didn't even wait around. He just
Real-
threw it and
He
then
just
walked away.
left. He
He
just
was too
dropped the
depressed
mic
by how
and then-
awful that throw was.
Yeah.
Edgar 2 joins us on on set today.
Hey, Edgar too.
He just like he's on NeoGAF and he's always got all the hot gossip and it's always right.
Gotta be like blackmailing people or something.
Yeah,
like,
he's gotta
here's
have
the thing.
sex photos. Of
He's an
somebody.
HR guy.
You want
right?
your W-2? You
we
want
don't
your
know.
W-2?
Hey, I know.
We don't know what he
I know
does.
what you used your insurance on last month.
Right? We don't know like what he does. We don't know if he's in industry or some tangential thing. But like maybe all these people have like come through and he's like, I have all your personal information. Like I know what you did.
Here's the credit cards I just opened in your name. Do you
Right.
want them to see activity or not?
Exactly. So then he's got this whole thing going on, like, give me the deets or else.
Yeah.
And that's
And then he
how
puts
gets
it
all
on
like,
NeoGAF of all places.
whatever it does, like whatever he's doing, it's working.
Yes. Somebody give this man a job in intelligence. Because he is
what could
killing
he
it.
find
He
out
might.
about?
I don't know. Do we really want him in actual intelligence?
He just tells everybody, he's like, guys, Russia has 20 nukes. Like, he posted on NeoGAF immediately.
They've got Nuke 3.0 they're going to be launching next week.
Yeah. Except that would be scary because he's always right.
And
He's
then
right about
but
everything.
there have been a couple other ones too. So the Watch Dogs 2 leaked because Ubisoft sent out a bunch of stuff. Like they sent out Ray-Bans with an embossed case and everything. And they sent it out before announcing the game.
Okay, who'd they send it out to? Let's circle it back around to us not getting free stuff. Who'd they send this shit out to?
I did, by the way, see one. I saw one over in the sales office.
What?
Addressed
What?
to. It was addressed to Funhouse with a capital H. We don't have anyone like that in this company.
Or at
We've
least
got
definitely not
a
this side of the
Funhouse,
company.
but nothing with a capital H.
No, I
so
feel like
it
we
was
should
never
confiscate
it was
that,
never
yeah.
appropriately delivered.
What you just said was it was delivered to the no. That's what I heard.
Right,
What you
yes.
said.
I'm sorry, my
I
bad,
think
of course.
you misspoke, right? You said the no.
It was a weird accent.
Yeah, it's just weird. That's how it's
Is it
actually. She knows I've been in
Funhouse?
Germany, so she was trying to say it.
Right, my
So I
bad.
get it, yeah.
It's a hamburger.
Yeah.
So
And then that
someone
was,
posted that to Twitter.
yes.
Of course. And then
That's
they were
how
like,
not to
oh
get
yeah,
free
the
shit
game
ever again.
exists. And then they were like, all right, great. Well, we're going to do, okay, yes, fine. The game exists. Big surprise. Everyone thought that would never happen. So we're going to go ahead and do our big reveal. And then the day before the reveal or 2 days before the reveal, a banner ad pops up on IGN that's got like the release date and like all the details, like all this stuff is happening. And so it's like, well, I don't know what your announcement has left.
Yeah, people even saw like the cinematic trailer, I
Yeah,
think.
on
Yeah.
Twitch.
Well, a shorter version of it on Twitch.
On Twitch, yeah,
The
it was like
commercial
played as a
version.
commercial.
Yeah, it's like all their ad inventory started triggering early.
It was
and
like
then
they forgot to set a date for when those materials were to go out.
Yep.
And everybody just guessed, like, I don't know, like Tuesday?
I get it to some degree because when you get to this time of year, everyone is. Well, I mean, they're like me. You should see me today. I can't carry on a conversation even like this because my mind is switching gears so many times. The PR people and everyone trying to get ready for their press conferences and the keynotes, and then also get this stuff out on time. Stuff's gonna get fucked up somewhere.
So the real question in all of this is, will Watch Dogs 2 actually be good?
Here's the thing, like I don't know. Fool me once, fool me twice, right? But
You
like
say that.
it
I
looked
didn't-
cool. Watch
I
Dogs
didn't
1
dislike
looked
one.
cool.
I didn't dislike Watch Dogs.
I played. I think I played about 3 or 4 hours of one, and I was
Really?
like, I just can't.
Gavin played.
Why not? What didn't you like
so
about it?
tens of hours of one in our
Tens of
house.
hours.
So like I mean like probably like 50 hours of one, if not more. Just over and over and over and over. He loved it, but he was like, "This game sucks."
Playing,
Which is what he
so
does
he
for
was
everything.
like Ryan in Destiny.
Yes.
which also had leaks.
No, I had no choice with Destiny. With Watch
Okay,
Dogs,
tell
I
me
And
more
yet,
about
we'd hear you be like, by the way, I played another like 20 hours this week.
I had to. It's a video.
It's so hard to be
I
you,
have
Ryan.
documented evidence as to why I had to play
Hard
Destiny.
to be you, I know.
But again,
I have
had no
a
problem with one.
I have
Yeah,
a
why?
very
Tell us
it
why.
could have been better.
I have a very weird relationship with open world games, and we've talked about this before. Like, I did not like GTA 4. I didn't like Red Dead Redemption. So it's like there's some open world games where like I get started, I'm like I don't have enough direction, so I'm gonna give up on this.
Too open.
Okay.
I
Let's
feel
back
that
up to
way.
the part where you didn't like Red Dead Redemption. What?
I didn't like it. I
doesn't like
I probably
open world.
played Red Dead Redemption for 3 or 4 hours also. Then at one point I was riding my horse and I'm like, why?
Was it because
I
you
just
didn't know?
stopped.
You're like, I don't know where
There
I
you
should
go.
go. Or
There was like too many choices. I was like, I could go here, I can go there, I can go there, I can go there. It's like, I just don't know.
But how do you do with Bethesda games?
But
you like
yeah,
Fallout.
I love
you
Fallout.
Like,
I like GTA 5. I don't like Elder Scrolls games, but I finished Skyrim. It's like I have a very weird track record.
I was
with these
literally
games.
just talking to Gavin about that. He was talking about why I hadn't played GTA 5, and I was like, I feel like Grand Theft Auto games, like everyone's like, oh, you can do this, you can do this, you can go over here, you can do that, and I'm like, I just want to be like, I want like a BioShock experience where it's like, I walk here, story tells me this. I walk here, story tells me this. Like, I enjoy that linear experience.
Well, it's more of a focused storytelling narrative.
Yes.
It makes it linear, and that's, I mean, movies are linear. That's how you consume most media, books, TV shows, movies. This happens and this happens and this happens. It's not this happens and then the main character just went on kind of a side thing where he went and robbed a liquor store.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, narratively it gets clunky.
I guess it's weird too, Gus, that I follow you on that as well, because I love World of Warcraft, but it is very like,
Yeah.
Then I go over here, but I'm so part of the problem, because if it's a quest, it's like 10 beaver pelts and 4 hooker STIs. I'm like, yes, I love collecting things. It's like getting
Oh, yeah.
to check
Meg
it off
loves
the
collecting
list.
STIs.
That's what you
Yes.
get from the
Trigger
Murlocs, I
first.
think.
Yeah,
Right?
the hooker STIs and beaver pelts. Those aren't in World of Warcraft either. But like, I love stuff where
What
it's like,
if the beaver pelts already have STIs?
did you get that the beaver
Double
pelts
up.
were like their vaginas?
Yeah.
There you go.
I
So
got
it.
anyway, I love collection quests, and I'm the worst kind of person because
Well, I hate
what-
collection
Oh, I
quests.
love them.
It's like, because like, why doesn't every beaver drop a pelt?
I love
Right, it's
it.
like
'Cause
you
sometimes
had
you
one
mess
on
it
you.
up
I
stabbing.
saw it.
Sometimes you stab it too much.
Well, I mean, the difference between those usually is how much do you like the world that you're in. So if you really like the world and you're really committed to the world, then the character going on a side quest to just mess around in it doesn't really bother you that much. But if it's like something you don't really buy into, so in your case, Red Dead Redemption, I assume you just weren't into the Old West.
Right.
Like you didn't want to travel that way. You didn't want to interact with Old Westy people.
Did you ever play like the Call of Juarez games, like cowboy stuff in general? Is that just not your era?
What about Gun?
No, I never played Gun.
Gun was good.
Was it?
I enjoyed Gun.
No, I guess the only Western game I ever played was that Westerado, right? We played that game. called-
Westerado was cool,
And
but
that
that
was
was
fun.
also different. That also didn't take that long to play.
It was also kind of open world-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
but
not
you
really.
also kind of had direction. It's like go here and
Yeah.
you just talk to the people. Yeah, my algorithm for open world games is pretty much like, is it modern? Is it kind of ordinary? Eh.
I agree.
I'm
Is
an
it
es- I'm
like
an escapist
high
with that.
fantasy?
Yeah,
I agree. That's
I'll
one
take
of the reasons
sci-fi.
I like World of Warcraft.
I'll take historical stuff. I'll take fantasy stuff. I spend every day in this world. I don't want to play stuff in this world so much unless there's something really crazy about it.
So Watch
Yes.
Dogs probably didn't really do much.
Although
for you,
Watch
I
Dogs
think.
is like a dystopian sort of future type thing.
Slightly.
It is a little
yeah.
bit. It's just slightly future enough. I think of it as the like near future cousin to Assassin's Creed.
It's actually rated fairly well on Metacritic. I decided to look it up right now. It's got an 80 on Metacritic.
Oh, that's really
I
good.
mean,
The
for
thing
an
about Watch
opening-
Dogs is that like it wasn't a bad game necessarily. I think that what people got upset about was the difference from what was promised,
Yeah, it
and also
suffered-
some of the PC settings.
It definitely it had some PC issues at launch, and it suffered from the old Ubisoft downgrade, which
Yes.
someone made a great video of actually that was on Reddit the other day.
Interesting video to see.
I mean, as a new IP in an open world type setting, I think it actually did pretty well. It underdelivered on what it could have been, but when it's your first title, that's usually, to me, that's like, all right, from here, where could they go?
See, I agree with that. Had they not oversold it, there were so many things about the game that I remember thinking were really cool. Like, Gavin would be walking along doing something, and then someone else would have entered his game and started hacking him, and he's like, where the fuck is he? And he's like running around trying to find the person, and he has so many seconds to like find them before they successfully hack him. And like, I remember thinking like, that was really cool. Like, that's something to me I haven't seen in a game, that it was done in a way that I thought was really, really cool. So had they not overpromised all these things, you could hack everything. And it was like way overwhelming. There was no
Yeah.
way to not make that overwhelming. I think they would have had like a bigger hit on their hands.
Well, that's what I hope to see from the sequel is. It boiled down to eventually, it's like, all right, well, you can change the traffic lights, you can
Right.
raise the pillars, you can...
Traffic lights.
Hey, it
there's
has
like
an
6
effect.
things that you could do.
Yeah.
So if
I wish
they
I could
expand
control
that to
traffic
12,
lights in Austin.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. If they just expand that to 12, then they're already got kind of a hook there. So
You can do twice as much as you could have done before.
I mean, realistically, how many things can you really interact with on a daily basis?
But how many things can you hack on a daily basis?
I
Hack your
usually
mind.
like probably less than one. A lot of real hacks take a while. It's not just push the button at it.
Yeah, he's no script kiddie, okay?
Yeah.
Back up, Gus.
So I'm gonna get my
He's a
PC
little
focus
Master
on.
He's a
Race
little
over
more
here,
lead.
okay?
Watch me DDoS the traffic light. Oh
Can
no,
you get,
they've got
like-
Cloudflare.
Like lulsec, call lulsec in for like a
I was in
firebomb.
traffic jam.
But I mean, they're keeping true to what they said, and I think we talked about this before Watchdog launched frequently, where Ubisoft said that they wanted this to be this is the game, right? They said they wanted to be their next 10-year franchise that they were really looking.
Yes, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they said this was a 10-year.
Yeah, for it to be like their next big property they were going to grow. So I mean,
Yeah.
they're sticking with it.
Well, or did they call was Destiny the 10-year franchise?
I think
Yes, I think they were going to say.
Destiny. I know Destiny said it was like a 10-year thing.
Yeah.
Or we saw the leaked PowerPoints or whatever that were like their 10-year plan. I do recall Watch Dogs. I think they said it was going to be the beginning of like their next big franchise, and they are doing something interesting with this one, which is at least they're moving it. So instead of Chicago, it's going to be in San Francisco, and you can
And
What
new
did you call
characters,
it?
it looks
hack
like.
sustainably.
What did you call it in our chat? San Francisco.
I wish it was San Francisco.
Yeah,
Because I loved that, like like the sort of the futuristic Big Hero 6 kind of world. I love.
Yeah.
I think that's super cool and weird and crazy. But this is just like San Francisco, and I'd be like, yep, I know that building. Oh, I know
think that'll
that
help
Well,
neighborhood.
you?
they'll update it.
I mean,
It'll be future San
I'll be able to
Francisco.
navigate.
Yeah,
for
'cause
sure.
This,
but-
wasn't GTA 5 like this is the real streets of New York? So I feel like if it's somewhere you're from, you're like, yeah, I know where I'm going.
Well, New York
Yeah,
is
they're-
LA.
yeah, they're
I'm sorry,
places-
Well,
GTA 5
sometimes
is
it's
LA.
LA, it's
Yeah.
Los Santos. But there was something. Was it Watch Dogs then that they were like, these are the real streets of New York?
Chicago.
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 No, what is the one that's in New York?
The Division.
GTA
The Division. Thank
Oh,
you.
there you go.
It's the real streets of New York
Yeah.
in Division.
So
They're just so
I
messed
don't know
up. It's hard to
anything. I just
tell.
want to leave now.
Watch Dogs, I guess, who is it? Senior producer Dominic Guay, I don't know how to say that, said that, after Bungie made the 10-year comment for Destiny, he said, his direct quote is, honestly, that's what we're doing too.
Okay.
Here's the way we think about it. Even if we change our minds mid-course or after shipping Watch Dogs and say, scratch that, we'll do something else. The planning helps to maintain a strong core. So
I like he says, like, that's what we're planning on, unless, of course, we absolutely change our mind,
Unless
which
it
could
fails.
happen.
If no
Once
one
we
buys
show
it.
up, we don't know. But until then, 10
It's
years.
cool though. He's not making any promises he can't keep.
true.
He's saying like, we have some thoughts. Might not do those thoughts.
yeah, that's our plan, but shit changes sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious if
Which
part
I'd
of that
rather
change
have.
of directions is changing the. It seems like the main character is not going to return from one.
No,
to
no
two.
Aiden, right?
But it seems like the
Yeah, this
new
seems like a new
character's
dude.
also a member of, like, some stuff carries through, like
Right.
DedSec and CTOS looks like it carries.
Does he have his trench coat uniform?
No, he
Can't
has
hack
like
without your
he's
trench
like
coat.
Seem
a punk
to.
rocky looking dude. He actually looks pretty. I was like, I wonder if I could make that cosplay
I heard his
before
backstory.
E3.
He's from Oakland.
Oh wow. His
wait,
airline
so
tickets
he's from
are cheaper.
across the bridge, but he's coming over to San Francisco to make trouble. I see how it is.
Right. You don't make
Soakland types,
you don't-
bridge and tunnel crowd.
you don't make trouble in
have
your own
no
home.
idea
You go
what
fuck
you're
up your neighbor's house.
That's right.
Yeah. Here, let me read this. Want to remind everyone, this episode of The Patch is brought to you by Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll was built by fans of anime who love different anime series for all different reasons. Whether you're in it for action or artistry, Crunchyroll has got you covered. Today, they offer the largest, most diverse collection of anime series straight from the source. Each season, they're bringing in the best new anime from Japan. They've even started to help in the production of anime series. On Crunchyroll, you can find series like Big Order, Ace Attorney, and One Piece. The episodes are all professionally subtitled, and newest episodes are online as soon as 1 hour after air in Japan via simulcast. All episodes are ad-free in 1080p HD. Try out Crunchyroll Premium for 30 days free at crunchyroll.com/thepatch. That's crunchyroll.com/thepatch for 30 days of Crunchyroll Premium for free. Thank you, Crunchyroll, for sponsoring our discussion of Watch Dogs 2.
And all of the
And
other crazy
all of the
leaks.
patch,
all
pretty
of,
much
all of the discussions.
all of it, yeah, not just that one.
I am kind of curious if I'm suffering from just rose-colored glasses in that I don't remember what my opinion of Watch Dogs was then. At the time, maybe I was less impressed with it, but now looking back on it, it doesn't feel like a bad game. I was fine with it.
Did you play it like outside of work?
Yeah, I played I think I beat the campaign. The one thing I was really disappointed in that I remember today is that the multiplayer was a little not great. When you could join like a session with I think is 5 or 6 people, but there were a lot of things that were not globally done. So it was instance, like an explosion wouldn't be consistent for everybody's gameplay.
Oh, that shit.
That's weird.
Yeah, it makes it difficult to actually do things together.
Yeah.
And there just wasn't a lot of meat to it. But aside from that,
I'll be
if they
interested to see
improve
what
it.
they do with multiplayer this time around. If they try to
They
go
keep
with that
it.
sort of asymmetrical thing again, or if they like revamp it and they'd be like, well, that didn't quite work out, but we're going to try this.
Do you think for this E3, and Watch Dogs reminded me of it, we'll have as much emphasis on second screen experiences, because I believe
That seemed like that was 1 year.
But it was maybe 2 years back to back, because it was Dead Rising 3 had a real serious second screen experience. And then Watch Dogs also, I remember being in a closed door session where they were check out what she can do with the iPad. And it was she's setting off explosions, and she's someone's in a car and she's trying to stop them.
So-and-so has an overhead map of things.
Right,
in
exactly.
whatever game. I do remember there was that thing where everyone was we've got an app for that.
Yeah, but
and
I feel
everyone had it.
Everyone had it, and nobody gave a shit about it, and now it's gone.
I think the downfall of the Wii U has probably killed a lot of those plans. Maybe this was other game companies' answer to well, we're on a platform that doesn't have that second screen, so let's make
let's do it.
And then they
Yeah.
realize that maybe nobody actually uses it much or really wants it.
Or
Like
why
Xbox
you'd
Glass
want
didn't really take
yeah,
off.
exactly.
and-
Why you'd want so many more things to do at the same time. I feel like we're being
and
invaded.
We
There's so many
are.
people
Bernie just
walking
likes to walk
through our
by
set.
and he just
No.
he just likes to he. The
Could
thing
you
is,
just
he
stop
looks
being
at you.
shit?
He's looking at me.
But yeah, it's I think,
Oh god! Oh god! Oh god! Okay.
and the other game I think you might also be thinking of as well is The Division. They showed that off
Yeah.
as well, where people who weren't actually playing the game could play
Right.
via a tablet and then drop in and out. And then they
I
just
remember
drop
Dead
back.
Rising 3, they were guys, the second screen experience for you looked and it scared me. For this is going to be so incredible. Look at what we can do with our Surface. And it was I have too many screens as it is.
I remember using it occasionally, but I can't really remember what
It was you
I
can
did.
call in supplies. You
Yeah,
can
it was
find
a,
supplies.
It was
and,
overhead map,
maps.
right?
Yeah.
That was integrated with things.
Yeah.
The thing I remember most about Dead Rising 3 is I would pause the game, go to my kitchen to make a drink, and I would hear it unpause, and I'd hear zombies attack me, and I have to run from my kitchen back in to repause
Bernie
it.
would run through the house just shouting Xbox pause.
Yes, I was in a lofted apartment at that, and it was when Gavin and I were long distance. So I'd be "Hey, babe," on the phone, and I'd be in the loft and be "Hold on, Xbox pause!" Just screaming at my TV. It would constantly unpause itself, and it makes me think of Dan going, "You're crazy," because Dan, it'd have those vocal prompts that could help you in battle, but Dan only talks to the Kinect in his American accent because it doesn't understand Gavin and Dan at all unless they do it. But Dan's American accent is incredible. It's very good. But he'd be "You're crazy. You're crazy. And Gavin would be "Do it again. You're crazy." And I'd be "I'm going to kill both of you. You don't just shut up." I'm glad that's dead, by the way.
I think my favorite tie-in was probably Fable, because remember the pub games? There was an Xbox Live
yeah.
arcade game, so it was before second screen experiences, but it was the closest thing to that, where you could play the games and then earn gold, and then you'd have it in Fable. It was nothing on just gaming the real estate market, but it was a cool way to get extra money for the early game.
And that was before the game came out. The pub
Yeah.
games came out earlier,
Yeah.
so it was a cool way to get people hyped for the game before it came out.
And the only one I ever remember really using to any length was they had a tie-in app for Assassin's Creed 4 that would let you send your ships out, so you could keep the ship mini game going even when you're not playing. And I think you could link it while you were playing and actually use it as a map as well. But the just being able to do the ship thing in the background was actually pretty useful to keep that sub game running. But Syndicate, I don't think had that sort of metagame in it, and so they probably didn't have an app.
What about Fallout, though? Everyone used the second screen experience for Fallout 4.
I never got it to work.
Really? You didn't use your
What?
Pip-Boy?
Never got it to
I
work.
used it quite
Yeah.
a bit.
Couldn't play Fallout without Gavin's
You just
iPad.
you just do it in the game.
Yeah.
Works fine.
Okay.
It's if you're the best use for it would be quick weapon switching or quickly healing yourself, because not having to go through that step of bringing it up and everything in the middle of combat. That's mainly what I think I used it for. Or even fast traveling between markers. You could do it that pretty easily also.
Yeah, it does seem, though, that for the most part, those second screen experiences have just faded quietly into the night. And
Go gentle into that good night.
What's the new thing? VR is the new thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We're gonna
VR,
be,
so it's
we're gonna
now
be
with
hit
VR.
over the fucking head with it all next week.
So
You sound
that,
mad. Why are
maybe
you mad?
people
That's
will take
great.
a step back. They think they'll be different by not heading us.
I
over
think
the
it's going to take a year or two.
Yeah.
And then they'll figure out was it great? Is it not great? And then VR will either be all over the place everywhere or not be.
Yeah,
but I think it's going to take a little while.
Yeah, I'm mad at being hit over the head because we haven't really seen full implementation yet. It's still something that's barely coming out. And at E3 in particular, we're going to probably hear a lot about, PlayStation VR and if Microsoft's doing something, who knows. And it's going to be a lot of it's gonna be continued promises without actually delivering yet.
I want to see more though from Microsoft. They had that whole stage presence last year with the Minecraft demo that they did, and I want to see more of that because we saw so much. It was honestly one of the best experiences Bernie and the rest of the RT kids that got to go do that had, but we haven't really heard much about it since.
Well,
so,
I mean, you're talking about the HoloLens
Yeah,
stuff.
HoloLens.
They've said since then was, all right, they'll sell you a $3,000 dev kit, but they're not going to turn it into a commercial product.
right, but it's like I want to know what's the next iteration then, or what's the next?
Well, that's what they're kind
what
of
is
talking
next?
about. Like that's the thing where they're partnering with it's like Dell and HTC, and that's I mentioned I think last podcast that it was kind of weird that they've clearly had some kind of dealings with Oculus because there's Microsoft controllers packaged
Right.
with the Oculus. But when they're partnering for the future of their VR, AR, hologram type stuff, HTC was the company they went to.
So I'm sorry, did I miss some news about HoloLens while I was gone? What does that mean? HTC is going to be making it, or they're just partnering with them in some way? We don't know.
Yeah, there's some kind of, they're working on some kind of future AR, I think it's like their hologram project or something. But yeah, it was of the list of companies, HTC was on the list. Oculus was not.
Well, Oculus is in all sorts of crazy trouble, so maybe
They are
not best
having a
to be
little problem
partnered
right
with
now.
them right now. Yeah, I felt like I was so far out of the loop being gone for so long. So I'm like, tell me what I missed.
Yeah, there's some, I think Oculus, there's been some speculation that Xbox may partner with Oculus for Xbox VR because Xbox VR popped up as a category on the E3 website and there's like 4 developers attached to it, but no one knows what that would actually mean at this point. Like, are they, I think the speculation about Oculus involvement is pretty much just because there's an Xbox One controller that comes
Right,
with
like-
Oculus.
Well,
Well,
is
I
what
mean,
Ryan was saying.
that would make way more sense than
Yeah.
for Microsoft to try and develop a VR headset from ground up to attach to the
I agree.
Throw VR. I'm sick of VR. Give me AR. I want more AR. AR should have had its time to shine last year. I want more this year.
That's harder.
I want
It is
AR.
harder.
takes
But
more
they were
development.
doing so good already.
I think AR is easier.
No, because you have to. Well, if you're rendering the image is not bad, but to put a screen in front of your face, obviously with a large FOV is already an issue, and then to give it presence in the sense that it has to scan and place objects in the world, it's hard. I mean, the HoloLens did a pretty good job of it, but
great job.
it wasn't able to do a
Yeah,
full.
and I
view.
think also the HoloLens might be, it's obviously it's a first generation, right? Like this is the first time you've seen a product like that.
Yeah.
It might be so constrained because they've held it down to a self-contained unit. If you approach it like a VR where it's tethered to a computer, you could probably get a lot more done.
Maybe the field of view, the optics on it may be more of a challenge.
Yeah.
I would, if there's anything I'd like them to do, I'd like them to maybe like stop doing all the crazy stuff initially and get that hardware right first. The field of view on their projections is just not good enough. Like that it's not edge to edge on the screen, and so you can see where it stops. I think that's going to ruin a lot of the immersion that it would otherwise have.
I just didn't experience that. Like I genuinely didn't experience. I could see where if I tilted my head, yes and no, but looking straight at an object, I did not see where the object ended. Like looking at that hologram of that ship was like a groundbreaking moment in
Do
my
you think
life.
that maybe you use your eyes differently than everybody else?
No, I think I have glasses, so I'm used to having edges, probably. So
But
I have them all the time.
It did bother me too.
Yeah.
Actually, when I've used it, it's like it was very clear to me what the boundaries of the experience were, and I felt like I had to adjust the way I looked at stuff to keep.
But you wear glasses, so
I do
maybe
wear
it's not.
glasses, yeah.
I don't know. I just felt like already I felt so blown away. I felt like I was in the future, and then I felt like it just went away, and now we have nothing.
Well,
so
if they gear the experience to kind of take into account the FOV issues, so if it's something that's small enough that fits, like say if it's on this table and they have you positioned the correct distance away from the table, then yeah, it looks fine. But if it's something where it's like kind of the things that they bill it as being able to do in the promotional stuff, like
Right, like,
throw
your
the TV
whole
up on the
wall,
wall,
yeah.
Then in reality you end up doing this just to see the whole TV.
no, that's true.
So again, that's not insurmountable. Somebody will come up with a way to make it full screen. But
Yeah, I think again this goes back to what they've been showing so far is like the first iteration of a dev kit.
Yeah.
I think even before it gets to consumer hands, they'll probably iron out a lot of those things. I'm sure they're sick of hearing about the field of view issue by now, and
well, there's that
It's
other
because
player.
it's the only really big issue.
yeah.
Yeah, and so HoloLens has gotten a lot of attention, but there was that other one. It was like Leap,
Yeah, it's like that Florida-based company, right?
Yeah.
Wait,
because there's Leap motion. And
Yeah,
then there's
okay.
like,
I'm talking about Leap Motion, the control. Those things
one of them is the hand.
suck.
No, do they not work
They're
well?
terrible.
Because a lot of people have played with them by attaching them to the front of, is it like Magic Leap or something like that? Magic, yeah,
It is Magic Leap.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the people will take the Leap Motion and actually they have mounting brackets that attach them to the front of VR headsets. And I've seen some pretty cool things done with it, including I think they've updated it recently so it does a better job of actually individual finger tracking.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, the last time I played with it was 2 years ago, and it sucked.
I think the other one I was thinking of was the Cast AR or the Caster. I don't know if you've seen that one. It's just like augmented reality glasses.
The Castar.
Yeah, it's a similar kind of concept where it's just glasses that insert augmented reality.
I want this to be the year of AR. It won't be, but I want it to be.
No, they got to get VR out the door, and then AR
No.
will circle back around.
Screw you, VR. I want AR.
They gotta figure
VR
it
makes me
out.
sick.
I don't feel like the two compete with each other.
They don't, not
No.
really.
So we are, we had an announcement about it earlier this week that we're going to have Palmer Luckey, who was, the founder of Oculus at RTX delivered by Pizza Hut this year. And we're going to have an opportunity to talk with him about virtual reality. So I think like you and I should sit down and come up with ideas and things that, we could potentially talk to him about, in an open panel discussion and get, his feelings on it, since this is someone who's been very involved with the VR movement,
Though
obviously,
he has
for a
been
couple of
very
years.
quiet lately. I mean, I'm sure he's still doing
Maybe
other-
it's because he's like learning to not talk about stuff that he then later does the exact opposite of.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that's some of it. I'm kind of curious at this point how much of a policy setter he is.
You think he's like out at this point?
Well, I mean, he's the face of it, and I'm sure he's involved. But once you sell to a larger company, then there's probably a board of directors or there's something.
And Facebook in particular.
Right.
And Facebook's been very busy, and not just with Oculus.
Ooh, that's one of the things I wanted to talk about.
Segue.
Are you going to talk
Take
about
it away,
it?
Gus.
So Blizzard and Facebook announced this deal, which on the surface seems really weird. So Blizzard's going to work to implement some of the Facebook Live APIs into their games so that people who don't have Battle.net accounts can log into Blizzard games via Facebook.
Okay.
And also it will allow for direct live streaming to Facebook from Blizzard games.
But
So is this
I have
Facebook
my
trying to do like Twitch stuff?
Well, Facebook, has been really pushing their live streaming lately. And I think, it's an interesting potential growth vector for Facebook. I'm sorry, for Blizzard, for like people who maybe aren't necessarily always gamers. Like I've got tons of people on my friends list who are like family members who don't know anything about video games. But if, I started, broadcasting
They'd really like
that way.
to watch you play
Yeah, I'm
Diablo,
sure they're
though.
so excited.
Right, I'm not excited to have like my mother listen to me, playing Overwatch or anything, but it is potentially a new audience for these games that normally wouldn't seek this stuff out.
That just sounds like a bunch of people's streams in my Facebook feed. Like it just seems
It's
like more.
gonna
It's
be.
like
Oh,
the
yeah.
new Facebook invite for games you don't want to fucking play.
Yeah,
like-
when's the Farmville integration?
I don't know. I stopped really using Facebook probably like a couple years ago at this point. I'll check it every now and again, and I'll be like, oh, I got 99 out of it. Nope, I'm out. And that's about it. Like, I don't know. I think it's because my social media in general has just like gone like this for me. I'm getting more and more private in my old age, possibly. But Facebook was the first social media platform to go for me.
Since Facebook owns Oculus, do you think that down the road there'd be like some kind of VR streaming system where like if you have an Oculus headset, you can watch people stream VR games?
Well, I know that I mean,
360
Facebook
video for sure.
Facebook
Yeah.
sees Oculus as being like the big new thing. I mean,
Well,
weren't
it's a
they
big
estimating like
social
a
platform.
billion people, like all having Oculus headsets? Like that's
Or
like
in
everyone in
VR
the
by
United
end
States,
of-
basically.
Yeah, some date range. But I mean, as soon as someone gets a good forum for it, and there are a couple that are getting there, like AltSpace VR and like even Janus VR has some kind of collaborative stuff, which is
The thing about that though is that I feel like for Facebook, AR would have been a better fit.
well, that's
Like
the-
if you could just be like going around and like keeping like your social feed like in the corner of your vision, that seems like it would be like sending messages off, whatever. That seems like it would be right up their alley. VR is you are closing yourself off from other stuff.
It isn't.
to-
It isn't.
To do
But
it.
I mean, if you think of Facebook being a social hub where, let's say you here in Austin and have a friend that lives in New York, and you both put on your VR headsets, and then you are able to communicate as if you were in the same room.
Do we then have like avatars or something? Because otherwise
have
we're
an
both looking at
avatar, yeah.
ourselves having at each other having a headset on.
You would have an avatar.
It goes back to like what we talked about with like Werewolves Within, right? It's like if you're sitting by yourself at home and you want to play a social game with other people, you can create a virtual experience where you're sitting around.
And
Make Sword Art Online real.
I mean,
That's
it's
all I'm
coming.
hearing.
It's coming.
All I'm hearing.
But even already in Altspace VR, so you have a selection of different avatars. You can pick one. You know, and it's not as customizable as it could be. So that'll, I'm sure, will be coming. But it goes so far as to detect when you're speaking, and it mimes your mouth in the game.
You know what? What I get from that is more than anything. I guess it's a throwback. But did you ever read Snow Crash?
Snow
Of course.
Crash,
Yeah.
Love
Yeah.
that-
So
love
I'm
that
getting
book.
I'm getting a fist pump from back there. Thank you very much.
I'll look it up though.
Yeah, Snow Crash. So it's an older sci-fi book, and in it, it predated like Second Life and all those types of games that have come since. But it basically speculated on a shared online world where you can have whatever avatar you want, and it's got all these places that you then go to that are social experiences. It was basically like a virtual world, which you know has Simpson played with a lot. You know, like Ready Player One had the
Yeah.
Oasis, and they all have those sorts of things going on. But this was like a very, very early book.
It was like
that
92,
did
I
that.
think.
And I always thought when I was reading it was amazing concept, especially because like people start getting viruses and then dying in real life.
Yes.
Infecting your
Okay, actually, I
headwear.
kind of want to read it now. Maybe I'll read
No,
it.
it's great.
It has
I
one,
love
it
this.
has one of the best opening chapters of any book I've ever read.
Really?
Yeah,
Absolutely
the way that
spectacular.
it builds the world. Like the opening chapter doesn't even talk really about like the virtual world. It's like setting up the stage of the physical real world and what's going on, like telling you how, because it's kind of set in the future, it's like how the world has changed between your time and the time the book is
Did
set
you read
in.
Ready Player One as well?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So
I feel
what's
like
the
the
name
same
of
way
it?
about
Snow Crash.
Snow Crash.
Yeah.
I felt
I
that way
liked
about
Ready Player One, except I felt like it got bogged down way too much in being like, look at all my crazy references. And also, I thought that the main character was a total fucking tool.
Oh.
Jeez.
Oh, really?
Abso-fucking-lutely. His entire family and like 20 people got blown up, and he was like,
They weren't.
and he's like,
they
he's
weren't
like,
his-
they weren't really
they
his
weren't his
family.
family.
It was like
he's
his aunt that he hated.
and
they all
who
treated him
stole
like
all
shit.
of
his
and the
stuff.
super nice old lady, like the lady that was nice to him, he got that entire park of trailers blown up, and his response was, whatever, they took my laptop away sometimes, so fuck 'em."
He was a little torn up about it. He wasn't like
and then
that.
and then he
He
did
was-
this. Put on my gloves. I'm gonna go gunting.
That was his.
Like,
I
I
mean,
don't
that
know.
was his
He
real
was-
I just
reality.
didn't
yeah,
like him.
that was his way to get back at them.
Yes.
I didn't like
And
him.
he
I felt
did-
like he had no empathy for anyone else, and he struck me very much as like the type of person on the internet who thinks they're smarter than everyone else,
But
Now,
he
there's
was
some-
and they're kind of a dick.
There's some. I mean, definitely there's some elements of that to his character, but he was also young, so that's. I
a
mean,
young male.
yeah, pretty typical.
Young male privilege.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I liked that world though. I thought that was really, really cool, and I liked what Ernest Cline did with it. I just didn't like that guy, and it's really hard for me to cheer for someone that I just kind of want to be taken down a peg or two.
It's fair.
I will back that up and say, do you think we're gonna have a VR Second Life? Second Life VR?
I mean, I would say that probably already exists.
Tell me
Look at
where.
this. So, Unit Omega on Twitter says Snow Crash basically predicted Wikipedia, Google Maps, Second Life, and VR.
Sweet.
Lots of good stuff. I actually really like old sci-fi books that they describe something and you read it and it's no big deal because it's something that we have at this point.
Yeah.
But when you realize it was written in like 1920, you go, holy shit.
The context of it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
actually reread Snow Crash about 6 months ago, and it still holds up fairly well. I think that the ending with the
Don't spoil
No,
it. I
no,
just-
but
some of the virus
No.
stuff.
No,
Some of the virus
Is-
stuff
is
towards
really
the end
cool.
is like, well, no, to me, I was like, okay, I get it. Like the whole like origin of language stuff was like, all right, it's like a little too complicated for its own good.
Yeah, I get that. One of my favorite books is Neil Stephenson's Diamond Age.
I never read it.
It's very cool. It deals a lot with nanotechnology. So the idea being that nanotech has become huge, taken over. People 3D print everything, including food, like blankets, clothes, whatever. And people, like engineers, are now working atom by atom to create things that are super small and amazing and awesome. And like the nanobots will go to war with each other. There's like the evil nanobots that are viruses, whatever, and then the defensive nanobots. And so sometimes the city is just super dusty because all the nanobots are at war that you can't see. And just like really cool stuff.
Interesting.
They're one of the major cultures. They've decided that the Victorian era was the moral high point of humanity. And so they've all reverted to Victorian era sensibilities, dress, all that, like culture, all that sort of stuff. They just also happen to have all the crazy nanotechnology. It's a really cool
Sort
world.
of-
Cyberpunk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
steampunk.
steampunky.
Yeah, it's
Nanopunk.
I'd classify it as a cross between Cybersteam. Maybe it's Cybersteam.
Cybersteam.
We have a literary argument going on Twitter at Glimpselp says, I would argue Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy predicted Wikipedia actually.
Okay, well, thank you,
Winky face.
Glimpselp.
Oh, all right.
And also getting back to games, at Causer of Chaos said,
games.
God of War 4 will be at E3, but Kratos might not be the protagonist. Thoughts on this?
Well, they're also saying that the next Witcher might not be Geralt, right? I think it's actually nice for franchises to have jump-off points if it turns out Kratos was all you wanted in it. And it's like, great, don't go to the next one. If you liked the world and you're happy to meet new characters, then great. Join this one.
Like Kratos is, first of all,
I mean, he's
the god of war.
Right.
And second of all, like, it's all about his family's been killed and now I murder these gods.
Yeah, but eventually he's got to run out of gods,
he
right?
kinda-
Like,
with that-
someone else got to take up the mantle.
Starbomb has
Somewhere
covered this
hit
in a
the.
song.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a song about it.
Somewhere hits the bottom of that rabbit hole, though, right?
Yeah,
Because it's like the first one doesn't. He kills Ares in like the first one, right? And now there was 2 more after that.
Can I just say that if he's not the protagonist, I'm a little sad. Not because of any game implications, but because Sony always brings this really hot Kratos cosplayer to E3. Have you guys met him? I got a photo with him last year, and he looks great. You look good, sir. And then maybe he won't be there then, and I'd be very sad.
Oh, now
Maybe he'll be
now I'm-
cosplayed as a new character.
Please.
Yeah.
Super buff bald man coming to PS4 this winter.
Now I'm really sad because I just remembered, like, there was I used like a booth beef that I worked with.
Booth beef.
Hey, nice.
When I was
I've never heard that. I like it.
back when I was at Ubisoft, he was a promo guy for Haze, which was a PlayStation title I worked on. That was a free radical game, and he was like this military guy. He just died recently.
Oh,
Okay,
he also was did Red 5 stuff, right? With
Yeah, I think so.
the game that I always make fun of for not coming out.
And
It actually did come out.
Oh god, he was an American Gladiator.
Been forever.
No, the one that Red 5.
StarCraft Ghost.
Oh, God damn
There we
it.
go. He was Hawk on American Gladiator.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
Lee Rayman. He was so nice, and I read recently that he actually passed away, and so I've been really sad ever since. I'm just taking that down.
Firefall.
Yeah,
notch or
take it
two.
down. A peg or 5.
But yeah, he was like, when I worked with him, he was amazing because he gets super into like the over military like persona.
I never
Super aggressive.
knew that guy, but I would see him all the time at events, and that guy was like he was
was
always
really into
it, like whatever he was doing.
Yeah. I feel like the days of like booth babes and booth beef do seem to be, for the most part, like
They
gone.
are.
Unless they're like, they now have cosplayers for that.
Well, they hire cosplayers, but cosplayers really aren't the same as booth babes, where booth babes were to like draw you in, play
Yeah.
the game, let me tell you about
they're
it.
like way more legit. Like
They're just like, hey, take a
costumes
photo, and like I'm here, and you can take a photo with me. That's fine. But we were actually talking about what to do for free play while we were there, and I was like, oh, we'll do some of these booths. Those don't really exist. Like booth babes aren't really there anymore, and it's sad.
What? I'm finally going to
know.
E3 and they got rid of all the babes?
They really, I mean, like it's like the babe
And
ratio.
all the beef?
The glory days of 2005 when, the Blood Rain cosplayer girl was there and she was like the hottest thing ever. They've just gone way downhill.
Or that time you were telling me they used to just strap Nintendos to booth babes and have them
my
walk
God.
around.
Okay,
they
I
had to be
showed-
like
that was-
attached.
There was a
The
video.
3DSs
Hold
that were
on.
attached to the ladies.
There was something else. I think Mega 64 made a video at E3 back in 05 or 06. And it was like a behind the scenes, like it wasn't a narrative, it wasn't like one of their normal skit videos. I'll have to look it up and see if I can find it. But it was them walking around E3, and it was like they went to one booth, and the booth was literally jump in a bouncy house with a hot girl and enter for a chance to win a flat screen monitor. It's like, what the fuck
You can't
is this?
lose.
No, it's awful.
It's amazing.
That's awful.
First of all,
I'm glad that shit's
let
gone.
me just tell you that those girls are paid badass amounts of money. It's an amazing opportunity for a lot of girls. And 1 year G4 did a contest where it was like, hey, be one of our booth babes. And some girl won and she got to be flown out to LA. And it was like a big deal for her. I don't know. I thought it was cool. I was a booth babe one year, not at E3, so like not cool enough to make it to the big show. But it was during E3, like in an offsite presentation. And it was awesome. I got to wear a cool costume. I got in trouble for playing the game. It was really fun.
You got in trouble for playing the game?
Twice I got in trouble. It was this Taiwanese MMO. And this guy was like, can I watch you play the game? And I was like, Yeah, it was like their World of Warcraft. So I was playing it, and then he walked away without like saying anything to me. And this guy came back and was like, "You cannot play the game.
He was
Put
like,
down the controller."
That was a mistake. She's doing a really bad job of it. I don't want to tell her.
They
but
like
I'm
took
just gonna-
photos of me, and then they just like wander off, and I get in trouble. I'd be like, "I swear there was a guy here."
Yeah, sure there was,
Yeah.
Meg.
Get back on the floor, idiot.
All right, here, let me read this other thing. I want to remind everyone, this episode of The Patch is also brought to you by MeUndies. Whether you're wearing a suit or sweats, you spend almost 24 hours a day in your underwear. But instead of making a statement like Superman's tights under his everyday clothes, your underwear is probably boring. I'm talking to you. MeUndies is here to change that. Every pair of MeUndies is made from sustainably sourced modal, a fabric that's twice as soft as cotton. Nothing can describe the fit and feel of MeUndies, but once you try them on, you'll understand why they're called the world's most comfortable underwear. And if you don't love your first pair of MeUndies, they're free, no questions asked. MeUndies has dozens of styles and limited edition prints to help you make a statement with your underwear, whether anyone can see them or not, just like Superman. Shipping is free in the US and Canada, and you can save up to $8 a pair with MeUndies subscription plan. Get a subscription or a single pair. Get 20% off your first order when you go to MeUndies.com/thepatch. That's MeUndies.com/thepatch for 20% off your first order. MeUndies.com/thepatch. Amazing underwear. I have replaced all my underwear with MeUndies.
What do you think the questions are that they're saying no questions asked? Do you think previously it was like,
Some questions asked, and then they were like, you know what? We actually don't.
yeah,
wanna
we
know.
don't
No,
want to
no.
know. We're gonna burn them regardless.
My favorite part about having MeUndies sponsorships is that occasionally I'll be
Yeah.
walking through the kitchen and Nadia will walk in and she'll just like hand me a pair of underwear and then walk off without saying a word.
Yep.
And I'll be like, woohoo!
I got some underwear. Yeah, I have a bunch of my
Only
desks
at
that are just
Rooster
like.
Teeth is that a good
So that's
experience.
better than
Right.
what happens at Achievement Hunter. They just come in like free undies, and then we all dive on them, kind of like a feeding frenzy.
Oh yeah.
and if you come up with underwear, you just hope it's your size.
And if not,
You
No
wear it
questions asked?
You
anywhere.
take it home anyway because you're
it's
too proud to give it to
Not gonna-
someone
yeah,
else.
I'm not
you
gonna give it up.
selfish
You-
jerk.
or you trade with somebody. It's like, hey,
trade him.
What you got over there? You got large?
What are you looking
What
at?
you got?
Trade him for a YouTube hoodie.
there you go.
Yeah.
You
Get
know.
somebody's giving it. You get all the underwear. It's like a carnival prize. You get like 10 underwear and then you trade that in for the hoodie. Yeah. Now I do.
Good times.
Honestly, I gotta say, I miss the days of booth babes. I just pulled like a knot out of my hair. I miss the days of super awesome booth babes and super awesome swag. Ryan and I were talking again about like swag has not been very big at E3 this past few years either.
It's
Not like cool
interesting. I
swag.
feel like as the industry's kind of been growing up, like it was always a trade event. It was always meant for journalists and all that stuff. And oddly enough, I feel like it's becoming more inclusive now. The ESA is starting to learn about things like YouTube, for example, and people who do videos for video games on YouTube, and that actually has a value. Like 2 years ago was virtually impossible to get into E3 as a YouTuber because they'd be like, you don't have an Alexa score, so we're not going to give you anything.
3 years ago, when Jack went, they point blank told him, YouTube does not count as media.
Yeah.
And
So it's like it's weird. It's
So
starting to
how'd he
like
get
grow
in?
up and
Yeah.
learn about
You
all
had
this
to,
stuff.
Like glom on. Anytime we went with SourceFed, we had to glom on to their like Discovery had to get us, and like your parent company had to be like, it's good.
It's all right. I told the kids they could play. I signed their permission slip.
Exactly. And I agree with you. Like, I do think the industry has grown up. And I do think that the Booth Babes and Times of Awesome Swag represent more of like the teenage years of the industry. But I had a giant inflatable Wiimote. Where's that at E3 this year? I want one of those. I want more dumb swag.
Hey,
I'm not
maybe
gonna
we'll
do
get like
anything with.
maybe we'll have an inflatable Master Sword because
Somebody come
Legend
up
of Zelda will be
with
there,
something
right?
sweet because I need it. I need it to throw away.
Need it. I just needed to have it.
you take a giant suitcase with you just to bring your swag back.
Yeah, there's really
Just
no
one
point.
Booth Babe in there kicking my suitcase.
Normally, that's what I do.
Get
It's
in
like,
there.
I'll reject all swag because, like, I know it's like I can't take this back, and they're like, "Oh, here," and like, "No, it's okay. Give it to someone else."
My whole thing is, do you have that shirt in women's? Then don't bother giving it
Yeah,
to me.
exactly. What is that? A large?
Like
no,
it does,
thank you.
It does no good for you for me to sleep in it.
Yeah.
And guess what? I already have 20 of those shirts that people are like, no, it's pajamas for you. It's not pajamas. I
It's
won't wear them.
not. How
It's
dare
rags.
Yeah,
Oh,
I once
well-
saw like a tutorial online for like how to turn your crazy large con t-shirt into like maybe a dress that you can wear. And I never did that either because I can't sew.
There was a
got
booth at RTX last
Yes.
year.
Meg now sews for me.
Yeah.
That was a fucking great idea.
They ruined my Mega 64
oh
shirt.
no.
Yeah,
They had to
what
buy me a
happened?
new Charmy shirt.
Wait, what happened?
I
What was
did-
it-
They would.
They would take your shirt in for you if you bought a shirt that was too big. It was
Yeah.
they would alter it on the fly.
That's
you could drop off
wonderful.
your
Yeah.
men's cut shirt there, and then they would alter it for women.
Yeah.
And it was right across from the Mega 64
Yeah.
booth.
So I got my Charmy shirt. They were like, sorry, we don't have any girls, but here's the men's one. If you go there, they'll do it for you. I dropped my shirt off, and then I came back the next day, and I put it on. They were like, what did we do wrong? This is not like a difficult process. And I was like, can we try it
Somewhere
again,
this one went
please?
awry.
Yeah.
But I did see lots of others.
Yeah.
That seemed cool.
Yeah. It was.
And I thought that was.
It's a great service.
I can't believe I'd never seen that at
Yeah.
any of the other events I've been
It's
to.
a really smart
It was like a
service.
10 by 10 booth with like 2 sewing machines in it.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense for all the people that are hopeless like me. I'm like, I like it. It's really cool, but there's no way this is gonna work out.
Yeah, you just approach every booth at a con like, what do you have in women's before I start picking out any designs
pretty
here?
much pretty much like
Yeah.
the very few, and I do have shirts that I wear. I have an Evolve shirt that I wear all the time just because they had a girls one and I was so happy that I still have it and I wear it. Of course, it was also a very comfortable shirt.
Yeah, well, that helps.
And I like to this day I like Evolve's logo.
You know,
The,
Michael
like
had
the
that
four
at
little
Evolve
dots and then the
forever,
little
but-
V and then like the one long line. I'm like, that is so
It was
perfectly
the other way. Wasn't it
evocative.
one? Yeah.
It's a-
then the V and then the 4.
No, because it was
E,
oh yeah,
then
E,
V,
V,
then
O L V
Yeah,
E.
yeah.
Actually, there's 2 V's. Evolve.
Yeah. But I thought it was. Oh, you're right.
So yeah, it was
I
the
thought it
last
was-
Said VE.
Yeah, but no.
Evolve.
Oh.
The
So
V
I
could
think,
be either. It
I
could
think
be
it's
4
I think it's
one-
4v1.
I thought it was 1v4. Evolve logo.
Either way,
It's
it's
4v1.
great logo, and either way it's 4v1
Damn, you're right.
there's what's up?
Could've sworn it
I don't
was
get to be
the other
right against Gus on a lot of things. There we go.
All right, we get it. I'm wrong. I'm leaving.
Yes. But yeah, that's just like that's one of the best logos I think I've ever seen.
You know, it's interesting.
It tells you exactly what it is.
With Evolve coming up, that was one of those kind of game mode ideas that seems to have died down. It was the really asymmetrical, like
I agree because Fable Legends was
Legends,
going to be and died a unfortunate sad death, which is a shame because I
wonk.
actually was looking forward to it. What else? There was Evolve.
Evolve,
there
there
were a couple of those asymmetric games, and maybe
Mario
some
Party.
other ones also
Nobody's
quietly
thinking
died.
of it, but it's
Actually,
there.
That one's
You know what?
It is. That's a good example.
Thank
one.
you.
Yeah, I guess Evolve kind of.
Might have like accidentally killed the genre before it really got underway.
It wasn't a bad game, but they just had some stumbles at launch.
I think
that-
their communication on the product offering was flawed, and it drove a lot of people away before they even considered it.
I
The
think- yeah, it was-
400 different versions you could buy with like all the
Yeah.
different weird perks that you could get, but then you had to pay for each of the perks. It was
And then they
not well
started
thought out.
losing data, which is
Yeah.
not a good.
It's-
People will just bypass the game.
More than anything, it was too many betas.
And it was a lot of betas.
People
you're
got
right.
their fill of the
Yeah.
game before the game came out. I think is ultimately what hurt them there.
Though it seems to be
They
working
had a
okay
really
for
sweet
Overwatch.
E3 statue, though. We're not getting as many like really cool like swags, but there's some great gigantic
there are
statues
good
around.
like art pieces nowadays, and I would count the cosplayers among those.
Oh,
I mean, that's not like I think the cosplayers are awesome. They look good.
well, no, cosplayers are amazing. The things that they come up with are just astounding. I wanted to mention though that we tried out Paragon.
Okay, that's the
Ooh.
Epic.
Yeah. So you can, I think, if you pay for the Founders Pack, it's like $20. You can play it now. But if it's gonna be a free to play game,
Why
I'm not
would
sure
you?
when soon-ish. In a world that we've now played Overwatch and Battleborn,
Really?
it feels real slow.
Okay.
It's much more on par with original like League of Legends / Smite, where even Smite they started to get the idea that's like we need to pick up the pace a little bit. People don't want to wait a minute and then spend another 2 minutes getting back to the fight, which I think Battleborn did a great job of really addressing. You can get back into it, and there's stuff going on, and the spawn times get long if things go wrong, but you can at least get back to where you need to be. But this one felt really slow. We only took one shot at it so far, but
There had to have. I feel like there had to be one hurt antelope in the herd, which is that I honestly thought it was going to be Battleborn, and then Battleborn
it?
came out swinging. No, I think Battleborn's held its own pretty well against. I mean, it's not an Overwatch, but I think
I'm
it's.
Yeah.
pretty sure like I was seeing things like within 2 weeks it was discounted by like 40%, and that they've lost a huge amount of player base because they came out too close to Overwatch.
I do think
and the
that it was
Overwatch hype
not
was so
smart.
high.
But I feel like what I've heard of people who are playing it is that they enjoy it. Not
I've
that
heard
they
that
think
as well.
it's- Yeah.
That it is a very solid game,
It's
and
a
that
solid
it should have
game,
had
and-
more months to itself.
I
Yeah.
think
And it
between
might have had a better chance to get
I agree with that.
established.
like Overwatch is not an MMO, or sorry, no, it's not an MMO, MOBA. So it's
Right. MOBA
Is
a
Paragon
team
more MOBA-ish? Because
Yes.
like the problem I always have, I'll clarify this. The only MOBAs I've really played are Smite, which is kind of a slightly different MOBA, and I play a lot of Heroes of the Storm. And the problem I always have, like with Heroes of the Storm, and I love that game. I played the shit out of that game. I talk about it all the time. The problem I always have with that game, and that I had to teach myself when I first started playing, was early in the game you can't really engage in PvP. Like you got to spend time farming and building up your level to really become effective. Like, is Paragon like that also? Like, or can you directly engage right away?
No, I mean it's a very similar thing. It's got it really hits all the same tropes as League of Legends and Smite, where you've got so instead of a store, you have cards that you get, and you get like a deck of cards. I think that you might be able to assemble yourself, but that's your things that you can buy in the store. You have 2 passive slots and 4 active slots. So you buy 2 things that will just passively do benefits for you and that you can upgrade. So I mean, there's some tweaks to the system, but you could upgrade in Smite and League of Legends. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, like you could get better versions of things.
Well, like it's Smite, I know you have the store,
Right.
and you would buy new stuff.
and then the normal like health potion or mana potion, that kind of thing. But it's got the same. It's like, all right, well, here's the jungle area. Here's the 3 lanes that have there's a progression of entrenched defenses that you have to overcome with the help of your creep. It's a prettier Unreal Engine looking version of any of the standard MOBAs, and it suffers from that same plodding game pace.
And MOBAs are not known for a plodding game pace in general, right? They're supposed to be quite almost, I don't want to say like chaotic, but kind of hectic, right? Like you want it, they're competitive, they want to feel urgent.
I think if you're
League
doing
of
it right,
Legends,
they are.
Yeah,
but they
yes and
still
no.
have
But there's still a lot of like strategy involved in League of Legends. So there are times where there are no player on player. There's no player on player action. There's like PvE a lot to it. But
That's tends to be, and I haven't played that one, but doesn't it tend to be like PvE a little bit earlier on as you're like building up a lot of that stuff, and then moves over more into PvP.
You see
it
more
depends
of it,
on
but-
where you encounter the enemy, really. Like who's gonna venture into whose territory first.
And the thing that does well and serves well in the game is that it puts a heavy price tag on failure. If you die,
Yes.
it means something.
Absolutely.
But it also gives you a more strategic pace rather than a tactical pace.
Yeah, so then you're very defensive about it because you're not playing, you're not taking chances because you don't want to die and potentially be removed from the game and have to spend time to
Right.
get back
I
into
do
it.
agree. I think that sounds much more like MOBA-esque. See, one of the things that I liked we talked more about Warzone in Halo, was that I thought it was like a MOBA light in that it was very MOBA-esque, but it was very action-packed. So is that something you would have wanted to see more from Paragon, as more something like Warzone, or?
I think it coming out after Battleborn meant that the most recent MOBA experience in my brain was the Battleborn version of it, and this felt tediously slow after that. Which, if I went straight from League of Legends or Smite to this, it might have felt like, oh, okay, yeah, this is pretty comparable. But the difference between Overwatch, Battleborn, which are both very quick, very fast, very action-oriented games, to this is pretty stark. And again, we played one game versus AI, and it was we're not known for that sort of gameplay. So it took us a little while to figure out like to downshift and go, oh, that's what this game's going to be like. Settle in for the longer play, and then you start unlocking abilities, and your player gets more diverse. But I was playing a tank character, so I was even slower than many of the other characters, and it was slow. Now, they did do one thing, and we didn't really kind of figure it out until halfway, and I don't know if some of the other ones do this, but I think when you spawn or go back to the starting area, you get a speed boost until you attack anything. So you can move a little bit faster,
Smite doesn't do that.
but it's still not terribly quick.
But you can heal in your base.
Yeah,
in
just
Smite.
again,
Yeah.
exactly like those.
What
You
platform
heal.
did y'all play on?
We got it on PS4.
You know what game? I saw this at E3, I think 2 years ago, and I haven't played it since, but I'm actually surprised we haven't heard more about it. It was coming out of Bethesda, and it was called Battle Cry, and it was very much that sort of MOBA-esque
I think
type player, but it was
They've unofficially shuttered that, I think.
okay.
Like they've kind
They
of
just
stopped.
just stopped talking about it,
Yeah.
and then
Is
it, like,
eventually they'll shutter it.
gigantic?
It's kind of disappeared.
It was cool in that it was slightly futuristic. The idea being that everyone figured out that wars cost too many lives and all this stuff. So they created these like zones where representatives of countries would go to do battle, and they outlawed black powder weapons. So it's sort of futuristic, sort of steampunky though, because then they all go back to like giant swords and bows and arrows and all that sort of stuff to actually play the game.
Cool.
The first cinematic I ever saw was amazing because like this chick has
Oh,
this
yeah.
fucking huge sword and
There she is.
Is that her?
and could
Yeah.
also turn it into like a shield. Like it would like break into a bunch of different pieces, fan out, and then it would be a shield as well. So it was very like stylized and cool. I played it, and when I played it at the time, and again this was a few years ago, it already felt very polished. But maybe they decided it just wasn't a good time for it because there's so many other titles
She's by herself.
coming out in that
I was like,
space.
she's gonna take them all down.
Look at that
Still
thing.
has
That's
a website
huge.
with
Yeah.
the beta sign up.
I played that game at PAX Prime last year, and I just checked their Twitter account, and they haven't tweeted since July of last year.
Oh,
Okay.
I just look at all that
Well,
and I'm like,
we'll see. Maybe
I
they
want
just
to
have
make
like
out of
taken it
foam.
back in to do some extra stuff to it. I'd still like to see it at some point.
Speaking of things that were a big splash at E3 that actually will be there this year, For Honor looks badass.
I'm so
it was the
excited.
game of show last year, I think, for most
It
of us,
surprised
besides
us.
but sniffing pugs, of course. And I can't wait to see more of it this year because there was a playable demo on the floor. We didn't get to play it because we were all running around like crazy, but I am excited to play it because everybody said last year it was already so great and felt so good. And like this idea of weight and momentum was really important. If you were going one way and then you changed your
It would
guy was
take
gonna
a
stutter.
second.
Yeah, I'm really excited to get my hands on it for
Yeah,
sure.
a couple of us did manage to go to an after hours like UB demo session.
sweet.
And so I got to play it a little bit, and it plays like a finished game.
That's
it plays
awesome.
super
And
polished.
that's a year ago.
Again, it was only one class that we were able to see it at the time.
yeah.
They've got like this night class, but then they're also going to have, I think, like samurai classes and Viking, like lots of different really famous warrior types, and they'll all feel and play very different. So the knights play very heavy.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite things about it, and this is a stupid cosmetic thing, but it's always mattered to me, is that I can be a chick, but she's also got like badass real armor, and she's like, "What? I will kick your ass."
Awesome.
I mean, she's not just covered at the bikini regions. And
She got her hair like up in like a braid that's gonna go under the helmet, and she's ready
Battle
to
braid.
fight. She's
battle
like
braid.
ready to go.
That's so cool.
But
really.
it plays fantastic, and yeah, you can see the different moves that are coming because they'll like move a sword up before doing a top attack, and you can block that specific thing. If you do it to the side, you're not blocking the attack, and you fuck up.
it's kind of an
So-
evolution of the chivalry gameplay.
Yeah, it's
Seems like
really great, and it plays wonderfully. So I think we're having that on our stream again
Yeah.
this year. I'm really excited to see like if we get to see maybe like a new warrior type.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. They can have this game for like 5 years at E3 and just like introduce a new warrior type each time. I'll probably be happy.
Slow roll it.
So
Yeah.
it's about time to wrap up.
Yes.
But we should mention what you just said again, that we're not going to have the patch at the normal time next week. Instead, we'll be doing E3 coverage. So check out, we'll be streaming all day, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, as well as another stream on Sunday.
Yes. So we're doing 2 streams this coming Sunday. All these times are going to be in Pacific time because that's what I've scheduled them in, and that's what my brain is working in right now. We've got one 12:30 to 2:30 p.m. Pacific. We're covering the EA press conference, and another one on Sunday from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Pacific for the Bethesda press conference, and then. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we're doing live streams all day starting at 10 a.m. Pacific, and we'll be doing game demos. We're doing the patch every day, so we just have somewhere to yak about all the stuff that we're seeing at the show. We'll have interviews. It's going to be a really good time. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. We'll see you guys.
Go to the
from,
Rooster
We'll
Teeth
see you
channel.
guys
Check it
there,
out.
right?
Here.
Yeah, it'll be
Yes.
streaming on the Rooster Teeth
Yes.
YouTube, and I think we'll embed it on the site if we can, but it'll be on the YouTube, so it'll be open to everybody. And hopefully we'll see you there, right? Right.
Bye.